Today's news, Made album may be Big Bang's last album.
Enough of you by now have written in about this painting. What's the name?
Solstice on Mars.
Can you just talk about it a little bit?
Well, I used colors that I didn't use a whole lot. I don't paint with a whole lot, and I thought it was very warm. And it looks very alien planet-ish.
Click the link in the top of the description for all her paintings. The title of this video is not clickbait. It is the title of an article that was published in the Korea Times yesterday. I don't think there is a person watching this video that thinks it's okay that this is in fact possibly their last album.
I know I'm not okay.
You were the one that found this album and you brought your cell phone over to me, showed me the title, and I dropped my jaw. I was not thinking that's what you were going to show me.
Yeah, I found the article, not album.
What did I? Oh. I don't think either of us are okay right now.
No, that is clear. We're tripping up over our words, and I'm trying really hard not to cry right now.
On top of all of that, I didn't watch any of the Big Bang MVs until right before shooting this. Fuck It and Last Dance.
Uh-huh.
Man, is Last Dance emotional.
It's so emotional, especially the closing moments where t.o.p is like smiling and then like this and trying not to cry, and then they're all just sitting there on the edge of a building. If this is their last dance, I mean, I get it. Last Dance, it's like their last big song on the album. They're not going to be doing another album for a very, very long time, if ever, and it's supposed to be about their feelings of going into adulthood, because in Korea, when you're in your 20s or pre-military, you're kind of allowed to fuck around, if you will, or fuck it, and then you go into the military and you come out and you're expected to be a man.
And oftentimes that's exactly what happens. They come back men. They come back a lot more chiseled and square-jawed, ready to face the world, or a lot more organized in their own thoughts. I think the hardest thing for Korean men to accomplish prior to going to military is just getting through the Sunung, which is the university entrance exam. High school's very important, but only for that test. Otherwise, you could be completely disorganized with your life, and as long as you are somehow prepared for the test, you're probably going to be fine. You might not know how to do anything else. But then when you go into the military, I've seen it so many times with my students when they would be in their 3rd or 4th year, because usually students and Korean men go into the military when they're about 21 years old, 2nd year of university. They come back and do their 3rd and 4th year university after military, which is not the case for any of the K-pop idols. And so I also think that's a misconception with people who haven't been to Korea. Idols going in very, very late into their 20s is not the norm at all, but military really does help out a lot of guys in that way.
And there's definitely a maturity or a different attitude that they come out with as well. You mentioned the physical appearance changes, but there's also this maturity. I don't know how else to describe it. So yes, the title is This May Be Big Bang's Last Album. Is this Big Bang's last album? We will find out.
Your lips are trembling.
That's because it's gonna be, first off, if they do make another album, it's going to be so far off into the future. It's going to be probably more than 6 years into the future.
I disagree. I'm cutting you off right there because I don't think it'll even be that far. In the article, and this is key here because there was a statement in the article about Seungri. The youngest group member, Seungri, said he will try to join the army together with G-Dragon and Taeyang, who are set to serve their military tours following t.o.p's enlistment next February. This sort of gives me hope, and I have not read this anywhere until right now, because it could mean that very shortly after t.o.p going in the next 2 months, G-Dragon and Taeyang could go in together and follow him only months after that, and it just hasn't been announced yet. Like, G-Dragon and Taeyang could be going into the military as early as April or May of 2017, and if that's the case, and then Seungri joins with them, 4 out of the 5 of them will be completing their military service at about the same time, which sort of confirms some of the things that we've talked about in previous videos where we've said, why don't they all go in together? A lot of you guys have said this too in the comments, and it might happen. It's not as if YG or any of them were listening to us. It's more like it's the obvious thinking or strategy if you want the best success for Big Bang long into the future. And if this were to be the case, it's possible they could have another album out within about 3 years. And if you think 3 years is a long time, well, guess what? Some people can perceive it as a long time. I don't personally perceive it as that long in the grand scheme of things. It took them how many years to complete the Made album?
Well, that's exactly it. It took them how long to complete the Made album? Big Bang, they've been around for 10 years, so they have really high expectations for themselves, and they have really high standards, if you will. And so they're not gonna just throw together an album. And even G-Dragon was quoted in the article saying something, and I'm not going to say the exact quote, but he said something along the lines of, it may take even more than 4 to 6 years to come out with an album because they want to put out quality, and they're not going to jump right into filming an album right after recording an album, recording an album right after they get out of military.
He did go into detail about how his process for writing a song has changed a little bit as Big Bang's success has gotten bigger. In Big Bang's tenure of a group, he would just kind of have an idea in his head and throw a song out to the other guys that way, and they would make it in a more kind of light fashion. They also had less experience, so they would play with more ideas, but as Big Bang's success has just grown to basically the biggest K-pop group in existence, with that comes pressure that as you grow, you have to continue to push the boundaries and continue to make your music videos more attractive. All of this makes possibly being creative a little bit more difficult.
They have those high expectations, those high standards, which I was talking about, where they're gonna take their time to make the song and make it just right. They talked about how people were complaining to their company because they weren't putting out albums fast enough, and really a lot of that is their creative control and them holding back until they feel that the song is just perfect to be released to the public.
And that process has been taking a lot longer than it previously had.
But even so, when you look at Big Bang's albums, they've only had 3 Korean studio albums. They've had 5 Japanese studio albums, but only 3 Korean studio albums in 10 years. So are they gonna really come back and automatically come out with another album? Maybe. They'll have a lot of experience to draw on from, but there's always the possible chance that this is the last Big Bang album.
It's not gonna be the last album. Hit the comments, you guys. How do you feel about thinking that it could possibly be Big Bang's last album that was just released?
There are no words. I can't take it anymore. I'm starting to tear up.
It's pretty big emotions happening here. I'm sure they're happening if you're watching this video. I hope it's not portrayed as negative. It's more just, holy shit, did they really publish this? Because this is a real newspaper. This is the #1 original English language newspaper that I've actually written for in the past when I first arrived back in 2008 as a professor.
And so, this was on the front page.
Comments down below. Click the like button while you're down there. Thank you so much for supporting us. Click the bell for notifications, and don't forget to subscribe for more Hallyu Back news. That's it. We're out of here. Hasta luego.
Bye.